Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into something really cool today. Banku.
Banku, yeah.
It's a Ghanaian dish.
Right.
And we've got a fantastic YouTube video by Sweet Adjeley.
She's great.
She's going to be our guide today, yeah.
Yeah.
So imagine this. Corn-based dough, but with a tangy twist from fermentation.
It's more than just a side dish, that's for sure.
Okay, I'm already hooked.
Yeah.
Tell me more. What makes it so special?
Well, it's got this incredible history and a fascinating cooking process. And Sweet Adjeley, in her video, she walks us through her family recipe.
Fantastic. So we're starting with pre-made Banku mix.
Yeah.
And Sweet Adjeley has another video on how to actually make that.
Right.
But we'll skip that part for now and focus on the actual cooking technique, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And it all starts with equal parts Banku mix and water.
Exactly.
Now, I'm used to kind of just eyeballing things in the kitchen, so why is this precise ratio so crucial?
Well, think of it this way. That precise ratio, it guarantees that smooth, lump-free Banku that we're aiming for.
So it's all about setting the stage for success from the very beginning.
Exactly. Makes everything so much easier to work with as you go.
Okay, that makes total sense. I can definitely relate to the fear of lumps. I once tried making polenta,
Oh,
and it was a disaster. I ended up with something that resembled wallpaper paste more than food.
Oh, I've been there.
So this whole continuous stirring business that Sweet Adjeley emphasizes, it's not optional, right?
Absolutely not. Those starches, they have a mind of their own. You got to keep them moving, prevent them from sticking together.
Okay, I'm picturing a gentle but firm hand, constantly coaxing those starches into submission.
Exactly. You got it.
But she doesn't stop there. She tilts the pot and presses that mixture against the sides.
Right.
Is that another secret weapon in the war against lumps?
Absolutely. It's like it's ensuring that heat gets distributed evenly throughout.
Oh, like those annoying hot spots you get with porridge if you don't stir enough.
Precisely. This technique with the Banku, it prevents that. Make sure that every bit of that mixture is cooking nice and evenly.
Smart. So it's not just about lumps, it's about that perfect texture.
Yes.
All that stirring, though, sounds like an arm workout.
You might feel it the next day.
Yeah.
But trust me, the results are totally worth it. As the Banku starts to thicken, Sweet Adjeley adds water in stages.
Okay.
And that gradual addition, that's the key to, really controlling that texture, fine-tuning it as you go.
So you're responding to the Banku, not just blindly following a recipe.
Exactly. You got to feel it out, and then...
This is the part that got me.
Yes.
She spins and flips the Banku in the pot.
Right. Isn't that amazing?
It's like a culinary ballet or something.
I know. It ensures that that every single part of that Banku gets enough heat, enough moisture.
Okay, now I'm really starting to understand why this is so much more than just a recipe.
Mm-hmm.
There's this deep connection to technique, tradition, knowledge passed down through generations.
Absolutely. Generations.
And speaking of tradition, Sweet Adjeley mentions Banku comes from the Ga-Adon tribe
Right.
of Ghana. And it's like a sister dish to the famous kenki.
Yeah.
Now, for those of us who maybe aren't familiar with kenki, how are they similar and different?
So both Banku and Kenki, they're both fermented corn-based dishes. That's the shared heritage.
Right.
But Banku is, it's smoother. Think of it like a softer, creamier polenta.
Okay.
Kenki's a bit denser, a bit more sour.
So there are these subtle nuances in taste and texture.
Absolutely.
It's fascinating how even within one cuisine, there can be so much variation.
Oh, absolutely.
And speaking of variation, Sweet Adjeley serves her Banku with two different things.
Right.
Shido, which is a spicy Ghanaian condiment,
Love a Shido.
and Nigerian okra soup. Now, I thought Banku was mainly a Ghanaian dish, so how did it become connected to other cuisines?
That's a great question. It's deeply rooted in Ghana, yes, but it also acts as this sort of culinary bridge, both within Ghana itself and extending outwards to, neighboring countries like Nigeria.
So it's not just confined to one specific region.
Exactly.
It's adaptable. It can be a base for all sorts of flavors.
It's like a blank canvas for culinary creativity.
Absolutely. Okay, so tell me about the finished product.
Okay.
Sweet Adjeley describes it as creamy and slightly off-white.
Right.
Now, does that off-white color tell us anything about the process?
It does. It hints at that fermentation process. It's what gives the Banku that unique flavor profile, that slight tanginess.
So fermentation isn't just about preserving food. It's about adding depth of flavor.
Exactly.
I always thought that fermented foods were more about taste than, actually being healthy. What makes Banku different?
Well, you're right that fermentation is often associated with flavor, but it actually enhances the nutritional value too.
Well,
It increases the bioavailability of certain nutrients,
okay.
making them easier for our bodies to absorb, and it creates probiotics, those good bacteria.
Ah, the gut health heroes.
Exactly.
So Banku is delicious, versatile, and nutritious. It's like the trifecta of food.
Right. It's got it all.
And one last thing that I noticed, Sweet Adjeley reminds us to keep those pot sides clean during the cooking process. Why is that so important?
Well, any dried bits that stick to the sides, they could end up in your banku and create those dreaded lumps. It's all about attention to detail.
Attention to detail, yeah, it really elevates Banku from like a simple side to an art form.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of heart forms, this whole fermentation process we keep mentioning, can we unpack that a little bit?
Sure.
Like what's actually happening there?
Well, imagine making yogurt, but with corn instead of milk.
Yeah.
You've got these tiny microbes working their magic, breaking down carbs, creating those unique flavors and textures.
It sounds almost magical.
It's a natural process, harnessing the power of, well, tiny living things.
That's incredible. But is this type of fermentation unique to Ghana?
Not really. Fermentation is a global thing. You see it in tons of culinary traditions all over the world.
Okay. But the techniques, the flavors, they vary. In Ghana, fermenting corn for Banku and Kenki, that's a deeply rooted tradition, goes back centuries.
It makes me think of sourdough bread.
Exactly.
It's a similar kind of process, right?
Yeah, using those natural processes to turn simple ingredients into something really special. And you mentioned earlier the nutritional benefits.
Right.
Fermented foods, making nutrients easier to absorb. Can you talk a bit more about that?
Yeah, so it's fascinating how something as small as a microbe can impact our health, right?
Mm-hmm.
During fermentation, those microbes break down carbs, and they actually change the structure of nutrients,
Yeah.
making them easier for us to absorb.
So it's like unlocking nutrients that were kind of hidden before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you've got probiotics, those friendly bacteria in our gut.
Right.
Crucial for digestion and overall health. Fermented foods, they're a natural source of those. It's like replenishing the good guys in your gut.
So we're giving our gut a boost.
Exactly.
It makes you appreciate traditional wisdom even more, you know?
It's like our ancestors were onto something.
They were.
They knew how to enhance flavor and boost nutrition way before we had all the science to explain it.
Exactly. It's a great example of how traditional knowledge and modern science can align. Speaking of tradition, let's dive into the history of Banku in Ghana a bit more.
Okay.
Sweet Adjeley mentioned its significance for the Ga people. What's the story there?
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. It's clearly more than just a dish.
Oh, for sure. Banku is woven into the cultural fabric of Ghana, particularly for the Ga people who lived along the coast. Skilled farmers, fishermen, corn was readily available, so it naturally became a central part of their diet.
It makes sense. A staple crop, a staple dish.
Right. And over the centuries, Banku spread throughout Ghana, each region adding its own twist.
Oh, like how pizza evolved.
Exactly. It's a simple dish that's become this global phenomenon. Food traditions are dynamic, always changing. But focusing back on Banku, you mentioned serving styles earlier.
Right.
What are some of the classic ways it's enjoyed in Ghana?
Fill us in.
Banku is super versatile. You can pair it with all sorts of things. Soups, stews, grilled meats, fish. A classic combo is with okra soup. Hearty, flavorful, made with okra, vegetables, often meat or fish.
And Sweet Adjeley actually showed a Nigerian style of okra soup.
She did, yeah. It's a great example of how interconnected West African cuisine is.
Okay.
Okra soup is loved in so many West African countries. The Nigerian style often has a unique blend of spices and palm oil, really rich flavor.
Food as a connector, bringing people together.
Absolutely. And then there's shito,
Right.
that spicy Ghanaian condiment, a blend of chili peppers, onions, ginger, tomatoes, sometimes dried fish or shrimp.
Sounds like it packs a punch.
Oh, it does. It's spicy, savory, aromatic, adds a real kick to anything. And Sweet Adjeley mentioned tomato,
Tomato.
a special type of shito, super smoky. They grill or roast the ingredients before blending them. Adds a whole other layer of flavor.
Okay, I need to try this.
Apparently, her husband is the tomato expert.
He's a lucky man. But circling back to the cultural significance of Banku,
Yeah.
it's more than just a meal in Ghana.
Oh, definitely. Banku is deeply ingrained in Ghanaian culture. A symbol of tradition, community, heritage. It's served at special occasions, gatherings, celebrations, brings people together.
Like those special dishes in our own families that evoke memories and connect us to our past.
Exactly. Food can transcend the act of eating and become something much bigger. And for Banku, that symbolism is really strong. It represents resourcefulness, connection to the land, those deep-rooted traditions.
It makes you appreciate each bite even more.
Absolutely. But I know we've talked a lot about the cultural context.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to get back to the practical side, the actual cooking.
Yes. Let's get into that. Okay, I'm ready to learn how to make this magic happen in my own kitchen. Where do we start?
First things first, you'll need that Banku mix.
Got it.
Sweet Adjeley shows how to make it from scratch in another video, but today we're assuming you've got the mix ready.
Yep, Banku mix ready, pot ready, sturdy spoon ready, and I'm feeling pretty adventurous.
That's the spirit. So remember that magic ratio we talked about?
Equal parts, right?
Exactly. Equal parts Banku mix and water. Whisk those together in your pot until it's nice and smooth. No lumps.
Okay, no lumps. Whisking. Got it. Here's where my polenta nightmares resurface, though. Constant stirring, is that the key here?
You got it. Get those arm muscles working. Keep that mixture moving as it heats up. Sweet Adjeley even uses a whisk at the beginning to really make sure there are no sneaky lumps hiding.
I'm all for preventing lumps before they even have a chance to form. And she does that thing where she tilts the pot and presses the mixture against the sides. It's like a preemptive attack.
Exactly. It breaks down any stubborn lumps and makes sure the heat is spreading evenly. Remember, we want perfectly cooked Banku all the way through.
It's like she's one step ahead of the Banku, anticipating any potential issues. Real expertise.
And as it starts to thicken up, you add more water, but slowly.
Okay, so it's a gradual process.
It gives you more control over how it turns out. You can adjust as you go.
So you're really interacting with the Banku, not just following a set of instructions.
Exactly. And then, the fun part.
The spinning and flipping.
I know, right? Sweet Adjeley spins it like a pro, making sure every bit gets some heat. And then, flip.
It's mesmerizing. But there's a reason behind those fancy moves, right?
Of course. It ensures that the Banku cooks evenly. Smooth, creamy, no lumps whatsoever.
It's like those moves carry the wisdom of generations. Okay, so how do you know when it's actually done, perfectly cooked?
Sweet Adjeley says to taste as you go.
Okay.
Look for a cooked flavor, feel the texture. It should be smooth, firm, not sticky at all.
Gauging all the senses.
Yeah.
So creamy texture, slightly off-white color. Anything else I should be looking for in the final product?
Well, remember, Banku is all about pairing it with other flavors. The final look depends on what you're serving it with. But ideally, it holds its shape, isn't too sticky, and has that beautiful, creamy look.
Okay, so I've got this amazing Banku. Now the big question. What do I serve it with?
Well, there's the classic shito, that spicy condiment we talked about. Or you could go for a hearty okra soup.
So many options.
Sweet Adjeley shows both in her video, and they both look incredible.
I love how Banku can be both a blank canvas and the star of the show at the same time.
It's finding that perfect balance of flavors, you know? And that's what makes exploring new cuisines so exciting. Discovering new ingredients, new techniques, new ways to combine flavors.
And with Banku, we haven't just learned a recipe. We've delved into the history, the culture, the nutrition. This has been a real deep dive.
It has. I hope this inspires you to try making Banku yourself. It might seem a bit intimidating, but with a little practice, you can master it.
And even if it's not perfect the first time, you'll have a new appreciation for the skill and tradition behind this dish.
That's right. Remember, cooking is a journey, not a destination. Enjoy the process, play with flavors, and have fun.
Great advice. Well, that brings us to the end of our Banku deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
It was a pleasure exploring Banku with you.
And until next time, happy cooking, everyone.